Welcome to another episode of Uncensored Daily Radar, where your fellow foiled friend scans the entire globe for what may or may not be artificial and nefarious activity. We go through satellite radar as well as the zippity zip zap radar, aka NEXRAD, to better understand atmospheric and environmental conditions in full context. Before we get started, there are a few things that you should know. Number one, I repeat, I am not a meteorologist, but I am a tinfoil hat wearing conspiracy theorist, which obviously makes me far more qualified to analyze atmospheric conditions. Number two, videos are fairly short, but feel free to skip ahead to any section you're most interested in. And lastly, if you'd like to see these daily radar videos, please consider becoming a paid subscriber. Otherwise, this video is about to reach a paywall and will pause right now. Now. Okay. All right, let's get started.
Boo! Did I scare you? Oh, dear Lord, I just realized one of you might have a heart condition. Please don't sue me. I'm just kidding. You guys are fine. All right. Side note, totally unrelated to the show here, but I was just kind of shocked because, so I have a backup pair of these glasses that don't have a prescription in them because I have them for just if these guys break, I have a backup. In fact, I probably want several backups because despite how giant these are, people really seem to love them. So I have a backup, and I was curious because I paid a lot of money for these anti-glare lenses. The frames are cheap. They're like $60 from Walmart, but the lenses are expensive. I got these Nikon anti-glare lenses that I had to special request, and look at the difference. The ones that are in here are not prescription. They're just like regular poly, I don't even know what it is. But look at this. So this is in fact, let me turn up okay, so that's like the extent of the glare at the brightness that I normally have on my computer. Okay, now I'm gonna put on, isn't that a big difference? Imagine if I turn the brightness all the way up, how bad it would be. Okay, now this is way too bright. This is way too bright for my comfort. So much better. Anyway, I'm just happy I paid for the lenses I got. I put in contacts earlier today and I realized that my eyes are just getting better and better every year with like what I've been doing for the last 8 years to make my eyesight better. They used to be like -5, or -5, -4.5. And now it's -2 and then 2.5, but I think this one's even better because I put in my prescription contact, which you can really tell if the prescription's too much or too little with those. And yeah, it was way too strong. So anyway, that was just totally unrelated to weather, but I just wanted to update you on things that nobody cares about but me. All right. What's up, NEXRAD? Just gonna, those of you who are new, we're just gonna do a general overview of what's going on NEXRAD. Then we're gonna hop into some data and news. Come back. We'll do a deep dive into certain areas of the country, looking at NEXRAD, and then we're gonna hop into trails. Ooh, actually, I pulled this up. Let me make it so you can see the time frame. So, two things I noticed. One, when you click on here, you can't go past this date. I think they shortened the amount of time you can look back on the satellite. I knew you couldn't go back very far. I think it was a year. When I started the show, I think you could only go back 12 months. And now it looks like you can only go back a week. I think they shortened that. And then if you look here, that is Melissa. I can't go back any further just from this. Of course, you can look at my older show, but watch that. I know it's super zoomed out. If I zoom in, it'll take forever to load that. But watch it. So this was on the 25th, right here. And then, did you see that? it just like instantly turned into a massively powerful hurricane all of a sudden. Here, watch that. Boom. Look how fast. And then it's just like, all done. See you later. Just kidding. I'm all gone forever. Looks pretty crazy from that distance. Let me see if I zoom in, if it would. It's loading. Maybe I'll let it load while I do something else. Ugh, I've been listening to Billy Talent lately, guys. You know, that Fallen Leaves song. It's the only song that I think I just used to listen to it a lot when I'd ride my bike, thinking I was so cool at 15. And I would just blast that song in my headphones, destroying my hearing. Dun, 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 dun. It's such a ridiculous song. I got it for free on iTunes. It was the free song of the week. All right, let's see what's going on here.
Every single glow you see here is a NEXRAD radar station. The official statement is that it's just simply Doppler radar helping us track weather systems, give us forecasts, things like that. Well, the conspiracy theory is that these towers are equipped with more technology than just Doppler, but they can actually utilize that built-in microwave technology to heat up the atmosphere. And that can do several things. One, obviously, it can heat up areas, create excessive drought, make them more prone to wildfires. Two, if you can create a wild temperature swing that inevitably results in major winds, severe winds. We're hearing a lot about micro bursts, which are essentially tornado force winds, but just moving straight. It's like normal wind moving around, but it's going the speed of a freaking tornado. And we're hearing about those quite often. And another thing, by creating these heated areas, you're creating high pressure zones. And high pressure zones can be used to steer low pressure systems, aka storms. So theoretically, if you could do this, you could create high pressure zones here with the storm here, and it would be forced to stay along the path that you've given it. Other things are, it's theorized that these towers can emit certain frequencies that can manipulate humans or animals themselves.
So this is tonight. This was the night before. All right. So at night, these towers get more sensitive. So you can actually see it go from east to west in sensitivity because that is how the sun is setting. Okay, so last night, actually, the activity has come down a bit with regard to the green and the blue, which supposedly the actual color, that massive amount of green and blue, is due to the birds. If you notice, if you look at the bird migration map, it tends to match. See, it looks like pretty heavy over here in the Carolinas and Virginia. High in this area here, there's like a big space. See, kind of a space higher in Virginia, Carolina, over here. So supposedly that is due to this. Now, some people say this map is a fraud. These are NEXRAD towers. They track birds using NEXRAD. Supposedly the Doppler bounces off of them in a unique way so that they can even map them, which this is what that is, supposedly. But and that, I totally buy that, as far as the ability to map based off of how frequencies or how Doppler bounces off of certain things. But I don't know. I mean, there's some pretty sketchy things going on with these maps. So who frickin' knows if someone out there is like, maybe, who knows, maybe like in the areas that there's some crazy particulate or whatever, someone lumped in that into like the bird identifier settings. I don't know. Some crazy stuff could have gone on to fake this. I think that odds of that are low. I feel like they would be talking about this every day on the weather station if that were the case, just to really drive home the idea, because if it were a lie, they'd have to do that. I don't know. Whatever you guys think, let me know. All right, so this was last night. This tower is still doing its spiral dance here. Looks like the trails coming in over here. Yeah, so there was some crazy flame-like radar coming off of California for a while, so I do wonder what's going on over there with regard to wind and fire. Because that was intense the other day. Every time I say intense, I literally picture people in tents. And then sunrise. No. Yeah. Okay. There's all that static. Oh, interesting activity over here in Florida. We'll zoom in there later, but notice how the sun is rising. And then these towers kind of pick up temporarily. So sun's rising. And they do this interesting kind of zip zap here and they go bye-bye. I wonder if those are those radial pulses coming from towers that are not NEXRAD. We'll have to zoom in and see if we can see those. See here it looks like there's trails. Over here, not so much. Over here, yeah. I don't know. I'd be curious to see if they're getting laid right there. Oh, is this loaded? Has this loaded, rather? All right, before I move and reset everything, make it load again. I'm loading a crazy amount of time, by the way. This is like a week's worth of time. So that's why I don't want to have to reload it again. I'm going to load less time. Da, 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 da. Be the one last time. I mean, seriously, look at that. It's a completely different storm. You see that? Here, stop pulling me. NEXRAD, satellite. Boom, boom. It was bubbling over there for days before this happened. And then it's a freaking Cat 5 and skirt. It's gonna go that way. Boom. And we're just gonna get torn apart over here. I don't know. That is a weird freaking looking storm. I think someday people are gonna look back and be like, how did they not see that? Look at it. I mean, I can't get over it, guys. Look at this. I'm gonna just look. Do 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 do. Zoom. Like seriously, look at that. Instant intensification. Even the guy on Fox was like, oh, well, it can happen. Yeah, anything can happen if you just believe. That's what our parents told us as children. Oh yeah, we were looking for trails, weren't we? All right, so let's see if that... Let's get this out of the way. So I said that it looked like trails. Interesting. Because it looks like trails over here. Looks like there are trails over here. Not so much like over here and maybe down here, but not so much over here. Let's see if that's consistent at all. Definitely fresh trails all over here. I'm not seeing anything. Oh, excuse me, over here. Of course, hiccups. And if you know they're late, but they're here right at the start of the show. What are you doing? Oh, I zoomed in. That's why. Okay. Yeah, there's definitely trails in there. Trails are getting tricky because they're starting to look like contrails on the screen. Trails all in here. The Addams Family. Yeah. Plenty of trails all through here. Going up in New England. Call it New England. Shouldn't we just call it America? And England, we should just... I was going to make a Ron Swanson joke. Everything before 1776 was a mistake. It is funny, though, because he plays the exact opposite character of the person he is in real life. Did you know that? I think he played the character, like, ironically, but he really embodied that character. I know we said we cover trails later, but I was just kind of dissecting the situation. All right, we're going to zoom into this and check it out later. There's nothing that really strikes me as super crazy today, which is very good. I will say this area looks like it's going to get drenched and up into here. And I do want to check out what's going on over here. That's a lot of rain. And isn't it interesting? It's like, I'm not used to seeing that over here. It's like a shadow over here. I mean, I guess it could be a mountain range, but I look at this map all the time. Maybe it's just something I'm noticing now. But we have all this precipitation coming overhead. And there's just a blank space here. There's like, yeah, we'll check that out when we zoom in. All right, let's check out weather warnings. Daytona Beach is just under a perpetual... Well, this is Daytona Beach. So, a severe flood warning. Severe flood warning over by Orlando. I used to live right over here. All over the place I lived here. I miss it. Except now they have all these genetically modified mosquitoes. A lot of states are starting to do that, actually. Oh, that's right. That reminds me. I got to do that podcast with Catherine to talk about that. That's nuts. Well, looks like around the Great Lakes we've got some gale wind warnings. And Arkansas, Oklahoma, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois. Freeze warnings. Moderate freeze warnings. Southeastern Wyoming, severe high wind warning. We must have a major temperature shift incoming. Severe high wind warning in, Montana, northern Idaho, central Oregon, Washington. Western Washington also has severe flood watch going on. And along the coastline, they have beach hazard statements, sneaker waves. Sneaker waves can suddenly knock people off their feet and quickly pull them into the frigid ocean, which may lead to serious injury or drowning. Gosh, that's terrifying. Have any of you ever been to the Rocky Horror Picture Show? I haven't. I've watched people go into the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and that's enough for me. Next. All right. For those of you who have been, I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Just looks like goth. I don't even know what the movie's about. I just assume it's something just scary and dark. I don't know. The outfits are insane. Kalmegi. Another tropical storm that's going to head through the Philippines. Again, man. Just when you think this area is finally going to get a break, Nope. Heading right into that same area. And this dust is really, really far out here. So this should really prevent some storms, at least while it's still present, from forming. Nothing is always. The African Saharan dust has been the #1 reason we haven't had hurricanes this season. Dun 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 dun. Do be do 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 do. Air quality index. The darker, the worse it is. California has had some unexplained air quality issues. And, oh, yeah, you ever do this? Oh, it feels so good. I wasn't expecting to do that, but I'm so happy that I did. Haven't been able to find the source of the reason why. I assumed it was fire, but as usual, I come back here and check and no fire. But the air quality has been bad. It was really bad when I first brought it up because someone there said it looks like there's like white dust everywhere. She was right. She sent me a picture. It looks very unusual. And said that her throat was hurting and some respiratory stuff, which sounds identical to what we heard over in Italy when they had an excessive amount of trails overhead. I thought it might lead to flood, but actually what happened was those trails spread out into like a haze, but it brought intense moisture to the area, like lots and lots and lots of humidity was everywhere, and it was kind of like white everywhere. People described it as like fog, but not quite. It was fog-esque, but it wasn't fog. It was more dusty. And yeah, people said that their throats were hurting, there were respiratory illnesses, and everyone was getting sick. And it's literally exactly what she was telling me in her area. And they were leaving excessive trails just over LA at that time. Very strange. So we can't just assume that these things are fires, these little pockets of bad air quality. Like we do have, but we don't have any fires over here. Above, like Georgia. So yeah, I mean, over in North Carolina, what's that about? What's all this about? Ooh, northern Idaho. Do we have a fire there? Oh, okay, yeah. Looks like we've got several. I mean, last report. Okay. The Addams Family. Sorry, guys. I always have a song stuck in my head. Nitrogen dioxide. It follows the sun. Let's go back. During the day. PM 2.5. Yep, that's from those fires. Aerosol. Not good down here, but likely due to the smoke. Sulfur dioxide. Yeah, this has been a mystery. This doesn't make sense here. We don't have any smoke there. I don't know what's going on with the sulfur dioxide situation. We have, so I was looking up reasons why because their sulfur was really bad and everywhere else was so good. And I can't find anything. There's a report about air quality up here. I'll get to that. But there's nothing from over here. I did find that a volcano erupted, but that was like yesterday. I don't know if they've had continuous ones. I've tried looking that up. It doesn't seem like they've had that issue. Granted, I didn't spend more than a couple of minutes trying to find something on it. It just nothing popped up. And yeah, so the mystery remains. What is going on at the Mexican-Guatemalan border? And now, what is going on over here? Surface ozone, not too shabby in most of the country. This is pretty far south. Ooh, very nice in the morning. Look at that. What is it now, actually? I gotta stop yawning. Carbon monoxide concentration. Ooh, that has shifted a little bit, hasn't it? I mean, usually I say it's clear down here, but these two areas are clear. That's not normal. I wonder how carbon monoxide interacts with fire, well, like wildfire smoke. Yeah, so wildfire smoke contains it. I just don't get why it would be oddly clear up here. Usually this area is actually pretty bad along with the rest of the country. Usually this area is the only area that you don't see it. So up here is odd. Maybe because the wind is moving somewhat north from this area. I don't know. You would think it'd be higher in this whole area here. We already covered dust. All right, I'm going to click through all these just to get them on record. No. I'm actually going to zoom out and get more of a general view. This is for those going back in time. Because sometimes, who knows, maybe something crazy happens tomorrow and we want to look back. Or maybe something crazy happens that we don't even hear about for a month because the media kept it on lockdown. And we want to go back and see what happened. So I'm just going to take a minute. You can fast forward if you want. Just want to quickly get all of this data stored. Jeez, Russia. Like a giant ice cube up there. Or did you just leave me? So how was your, if you celebrated Halloween, how was it? What did you dress up as? I dressed up as a painting. It was the most different costume I've ever had. UV index. Yeah, this doesn't really help me. Oh, no, not the ad again. Gets me every time. Rain and thunder. Gosh, I don't want to do that for all these. It's going to take too long. I'm going to save the Americas. When I have an assistant, I'm going to have them. I mean, I do have an assistant. When they're here full time, I'm going to have them take screenshots of the sides of the world with everything on it, and then I'm just going to have them flip through really fast so I don't have to manually do it. Because I do want the data saved for every date, but I don't want to take up too much time to do it while I'm filming the show. I already did all these. Okay. Thank you for waiting. Your patience is awesome. Most of the country is high pressure, so this looks more normal. We definitely have a low pressure area here. You know, I do wonder about the temperatures. Where do we have the temperature map? I know I clicked on it, but I was not paying attention. Okay. So remember, when you have two temperatures colliding, that's when you're going to have a lot of wind. So it's interesting because this area, doesn't this area have the severe high wind warning? Okay, yeah, that makes sense why. Because they are nice and warm, and all of this is getting cold. Whoa, I want to go down here. I want to go right where it's the warmest. Already looked at that. Latest earthquakes. I don't see anything particularly interesting, although I don't often see earthquakes over here. 4.5. This is the one from just before Hurricane Melissa got there. That was a couple days ago. In a crooked little town, now we're lost and never found. Fallen leaves, leaves on the ground. Run away before you drown. All right, let's check out some news. So, explosions, lava bursts from volcano light up the sky. Ow, my foot. The night skies in Guatemala. Let's check it out. I wonder what it's like to live near a volcano. I've lived in LA with the earthquakes. I lived in Florida with the hurricanes and the tornadoes. But I've never lived next to a volcano. Time-lapse footage, repeatedly erupting. I wonder if this soon after midnight. Yeah, I don't... Okay, volcano produces up to 15 explosions per hour. So that's gotta be where that sulfur comes from. What? I just want to know when it started. Hold on. Kicked off Halloween by lighting up the early morning sky. It seems like this guy started on Halloween, not... Did I even say what day it was when I started the show? Just realizing I may have not even introduced the show. Whoa. Oh, that's right. I spooked everybody. I didn't say anything else, I think. It is November 1st. I'll have to film it at the end and then put it at the beginning. Lost and never found, fallen leaves on the ground. And then this is the air quality warning at northern Mexico. Poor air quality again, plaguing city of Tijuana. On Tuesday, and for the 8th time this year, the city of Tijuana was under an orange level air quality alert. Young and old residents with heart and lung issues such as asthma were asked to avoid going outdoors. Also warned about the possibility of eye, ear, nose, and throat irritation, as well as episodes of difficulty breathing due to the polluted air. People are also told to avoid driving or exercising outdoors. What the heck is that? They're saying it's because blamed on seasonal winds from the east. Yeah, I mean, that's not what I've been seeing. What we've been seeing loads and loads of terrible air quality down here. But really the sulfur dioxide. And then some terrible air quality in California that I can't see coming from really anywhere else. I think it might actually be coming from over here. But I'm no expert. Hurricane Melissa leaves behind unimaginable human suffering in Jamaica as death toll climbs. Oh my gosh. Wow, I haven't seen the updated death toll. And this is from yesterday. How did I miss this article? 48 just in Jamaica. I've never seen a disaster like this in my life. Oh my gosh. Man.
Remarkable. How are you?
Fine.
Nothing. There are children here. There are...
Fox Weather's Robert Ray. He's been in Jamaica. He was there during the storm. He's been doing his absolute best to show us the scenes in the immediate aftermath. Robert, great to see you. First off, great job. I know what a challenge it's been, and a lot of people are watching the important work that you and the team are doing down there. What has the day been like today? I know you guys have been working to access some of the parts of the island that were hit hardest.
Yeah. Today, if I thought yesterday was hard, and if I thought the day before was hard during the hurricane, today has been unimaginable, unexplainable, really difficult to come into the epicenter of where Melissa ravaged 185-mile-an-hour winds, and to see it from the drone and then the ground. And you just look at some of the video from our journey in, and we're going to share a lot more in the coming hours and even tomorrow. But guys, I got to tell you something. I have never seen disaster like this in my life, as far as the swath of it goes. Katrina was absolutely horrific, absolutely horrific. But you know something? The terrain here, and the rock slides, the mudslides, and the fact that the winds were so strong and it tore apart, looking like an EF5 tornado, not an EF. A Cat 5 hurricane. All of this combined, and the fact that people desperately need aid right now. Desperately. It has got to start coming in. We have airports that have begun to open, and we need supplies to come in. Look at behind me. Look at this family. Nothing is left. Nothing. There are children here. There are mothers, there are fathers, and let's talk to them. The roadway in here, the hours it took to get in. We're talking about what you guys need, and I know I talked to you earlier, and you're doing your best. And how are you doing?
I'm all right. We need back with shelter because me and my 5 kids are here, and no bed if you see, no house, everything gone.
And it was impossible to get out of here and in here. We barely made it in. It's just been remarkable. How are you?
Fine.
You're holding up okay, right? And that's all you got to do, right? There'll be better days ahead for you, right?
I'm just looking ahead towards back to the shelter. Me and my 5 kids and my grandbaby them.
You and your 5 kids to a shelter. I'm going to go talk to them, okay? I'm going to go talk to these guys. Describe what you guys went through the other night.
So very, very devastated. Very, very devastated. It was rough. House gone, food gone, clothes gone, everything gone.
You?
Yeah, it was an experience where we never expect. It was unexpected. It took us by surprise. And when it took us, the Almighty just know it's gonna work out this way. That it come in a day, not in the night. If it was in the night, we wouldn't survive.
It is a miracle, guys. Thank you for talking to me both. Thank you for talking to me. And it is a miracle that anyone here has survived this as you go through. And we gave them the rest of our supplies. We were driving by and we heard one of the people yell, "We need water." We stopped. We gave them everything we have. It's all we can do. There's not convoys of aid trucks coming in here. There's not choppers landing. And I know that we understand that we hear that aid is making its way in, but chop. Come on, if we can get in here, so can government officials and anyone else. This is about humanity here. This is about life and death. There's a little girl here. There's elderly people. And so if anyone's watching in the government or you're an elected official, these people need help. And you look at the road of the convoy, all of this. Yes, sir, Robert Ray. We're here to get the word out. And that's what we will do. It's what we will do. Near impossible to get in here. And if we were not about to lose light, we would make our way to another community. We're going to try to do that tomorrow. and we will share more stories as it goes. Humanitarian crisis underway. And you know what? Somebody get it together. Back to you, Ian.
Robert,
Fox, yes, sir.
Robert, I've seen you report in a lot of heartbreaking situations. I've never heard your voice sound like that, and I know you've had a long career. Katrina, we watched your reporting from Mayfield in Kentucky. You spent so much time in Western North Carolina last year and this year with Helene. It feels like this disaster has elements of all of those things.
Yeah, let that play on a while, because this is going to be one of those hurricanes people talk about for a very, 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 very long time. I remember the pictures and video of Andrew, and I remember thinking it was like a tornado. It was like a giant tornado went through, and that's what it looks like in Jamaica. We knew it was going to be bad, didn't we? And boy, oh boy, was it. Well, over in the U.S., coastal storm could drench southeast with heavy rain, triggering renewed rounds of coastal flooding. So I'm going to pay attention.
We have, unfortunately, some more coastal concerns in the southeast. Over this past week, 5 more homes collapsed.
Guys, this is like, at this point, it's like a comedy sketch. It's like, how many houses will collapse this week? Now, these houses, this is in a very specific area. These houses have been vacated. They were all new, big, beautiful, expensive houses, and they all got vacated and condemned pretty darn soon after they were built. Not very long, and now they're all collapsing.
Into the water in North Carolina's Outer Banks. Waves were upwards of 10 to 15 feet, wind gusts exceeding 55 miles per hour. This was energy at the start of the week. So Monday into Tuesday, coastal low developed off the Carolinas, and it just battered the area. This comes after recent weeks of a string of offshore hurricanes through, the 6 of a developed off the Carolinas.
That one I don't believe is new. Interesting.
And it just battered the area. This comes after recent weeks of a string of offshore hurricanes through, the summer months and into the fall. And unfortunately, seasonal high tides that has put a lot of pressure on the Outer Banks where those homes have fallen. As we turn the page into this new month, another coastal low is set to develop. The energy of that diving through the southern plains and the North Gulf as we go through the night tonight and into the day tomorrow. So I want to briefly touch on that because we have this dip in the jet stream that's working its way across the region. Little energy. You can see that here at the base of that trough, and that is going to bring the risk of severe storms to the Texas coastline. It's a level 2 risk. This, in fact, was just upgraded. Port Lavaca down through Corpus Christi, where we could see large hail damaging winds. What's the timeline like? Well, we get an isolated shower or two as we head through the afternoon, but this is more so a late evening, early overnight threat. Look at those storms developing through about 9-10 o'clock tonight. So that's something to note as you go through your Saturday evening. That will push into the North Gulf as we go through the overnight hours for a much quieter Sunday. But that's when we begin to shift this to the East Coast to open up the start of the week a bit more on the unsettled side. So our big dip in the jet shifting across the southeast, the moisture return, that will begin for the Carolina coastline down through Georgia as we get into tomorrow afternoon. That's going to increase the risk for some showers. So far, so good, but we are expecting to see the possibility of some rain enter the picture by the end of this weekend. You can see that here through tomorrow morning into the afternoon as all of that starts to come together in spots like Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, Charleston. The core of this storm, though, is going to transfer its energy off the coast through Sunday night. And that's where this story gets a little tricky because the overall potency, how strong, how deep is that low, still a bit in question, and that will give us an indication of, how strong will the winds be along the coast, how heavy is the rain for the Carolinas through tomorrow afternoon into Monday afternoon, I should say, and then the developing coastal low, which then, of course, will increase our wave heights, those powerful winds that is ultimately going to lead to the possibility of more erosion. Here we are by Monday morning, and that onshore flow with wave heights building 6 to 9 feet is certainly going to be a concern, especially high tide, when we consider the vulnerable homes across that stretch of coastline. And then we are expecting those waves to continue to build through Tuesday. The one good news about this story is that this low will escape into the Atlantic, not expected to lift north at this time, but a good perhaps 1 to 2 inches of rain on the way for the Carolina.
Oh man, the area's just been getting bombarded. November 5th. Remember the 5th of November. Brightest supermoon of the year. And meteor showers. So if you want to check it out, check it out. This November's millions across the U.S. I'm surprised it doesn't say the location. It's called the full beaver moon. We'll peak around 8:20 in the morning. So North America will have to watch for the moon either at night before or after its official peak. After? What? No, you'd have to do it before. Set to illuminate the sky as the brightest and largest moon of the year. So you can get out around 5 a.m. or 4 a.m. when it's still really dark. That might be pretty cool. Last night, gosh, or maybe it was 2 nights ago, at around 2 a.m., I saw through the window the moon. It was unbelievable. It was big and yellow. It wasn't full, of course, but it was awesome. And for those of you who didn't hear, over in Australia, in the area, actually, where they've been getting trails for the last week, they got massive, massive hail. I mean, major, major damage. Yeah. Cleanup has begun in southeast, Queensland, after homes, cars damaged by giant hailstones. 50 calls of help came. That's all hail. Yeah, up until this year, I never thought hail was something to be afraid of. I mean, some of the stories in the U.S., for those of you who missed them, but we've had some huge pieces of hail, like I don't want to say, definitely bigger than baseball-sized hail. I think one of them was like almost the size of a soccer ball. I can't remember, but some of them so big that they've been breaking through the roofs of people's cars. Like there's this one story where there was a hailstorm. The mother was in the car and a baby in the back seat, and it started to break through her car. So she jumped over her baby in the car seat, and she took the pounding of the hail through the roof into her body to protect the baby. And the images of her body, she was alive, of course. She went to the hospital, and it looked like she'd been beaten on every part of her body, completely just welted everywhere on her. Believes she sustained some other injuries, but yeah, pretty nuts that can even happen. And it looks like potential tornadoes, giant hail forecast from supercell storms in eastern Australia. So yeah, I guess they're not out of the woods. I mean, we have been seeing some trails going through there pretty frequently, despite the fact that they don't typically get trails all that often. They get them more frequently than, Africa, who never gets trails ever, but not nearly as much as what we see in the U.S. and Canada. All right, let's do a deep dive into regions. All right, so definitely trails were in there. Tower kind of went out there for a minute. Actually, it went out there for, let's be specific, went out 23:45. Came back on at 20. So So about 2 hours it was not transmitting to the server. This guy's been beaming up into Canada for a long time now. This tower also went out here. Stop transmitting to the server. Wait a minute. What? I'm just pulling up the bird migration map now just to look at Nexrad. There's 2 towers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. There should be one there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that one? Yeah, no, that's there. So what is this that just disappears? It's not an Nexrad tower. That is odd. It's like... this area of precipitation just disappears, and there's a lot of rippled radar right here going into Canada. You see that? This area is interesting. It's like this whole area is missing out on information, which makes sense, I suppose, because there's no Nexrad tower, but this is a big dark zone. You know what? I want to settle this. I need to see if my old shows show a dead zone there. Because there's 1, 2, 3, 4 here in Oregon. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Okay. So, and they're all functioning. So let's see if there's a dead zone in my old shows. Okay, so that is new. Remember all these dead zones I was talking about that I didn't think that they were over here? So this is August 16th. You can see this area as clear as day. Look at that. You see all that moving. See that? Moving through Idaho. Let's see if there's a dead zone right. It just stopped, of course. All right, but still. Let's see. Looks like there might be. No, you see that going in there. You see it over here. So if there is a dead zone, it'd only be like that size. Okay. So then what's going on over here? And there's something going on in this entire... I wonder... Here, let me see. Whoops, computer died. Okay, back on. I think I was talking about this gap here. But yeah, interesting. Oh yeah, I was going to say, maybe when the precipitation's really, really light, it's just disappearing. But no, we've seen this gap. It's a pretty stark gap. No, that doesn't make any sense. Is there a tower down here that's maybe I'm not accounting for? No. Maybe there's like zones that they're just keeping out. I mean, look at that. Looks like here and here and here. Some weird stuff. We'll have to pay attention to that. Maybe I need to go mark what date they cut that out. Yeah, so California was doing that thing yesterday again, all this flame-like radar. Ooh, and that's a lot of excessive tower activity down here. It is interesting that the area has interesting air quality issues. And we've been seeing that. Oh, I wonder if it's swiveling. The next ride is like going back and forth, or maybe it's, I don't know. It's definitely odd. Yeah, California is looking weird today. Go over here, check this out. Yeah, I would say there were definitely trails in this area here. Interesting that that tower kind of went off the line for a little bit. Supposedly this is due to the birds. Not much else to mention. It was those radial pulses emanating from things that aren't towers. That's what that was. I don't know if this will give me the shot that I'm looking for. Yeah. Whoa. Okay, so the sun rises. I mean, I see circle, 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 circle. It's very, very, very hard to see myself, those radial pulses, but because I think there's just so many. Also makes me wonder, is there just static everywhere with just some of those radial pulses? It's an interesting morning over here. I mean, all over this is nuts. Huh. Interesting stuff in Florida too. This whole area here. There's a radial pulse, a really obvious one that I can point out to you. It's another mystery that we've been trying to figure out for a little while, isn't it? Where is it? What? Ah, there. Okay. So you can see a couple of them here and here. Now the next rad tower is here. And the next rad tower for this one is down south. So no, these are not next rad towers. And these are pretty darn green too, but there's so many more that aren't towers that have this radial pulse, these bursts in the morning. That, see, and they start off small and they get bigger. And Normally they're not green. Normally they're blue or gray. You really got a good view of that one today, huh? Yeah, that's fine. Those are not Nextrad towers. It's weird. It doesn't even really look like a circle. Whoops. I wish I could get in there even closer because it kind of looks like a star. At least that one does. That one looks more like a circle though. More radial pulses that I can point out that are obvious. See this? Watch that. Watch it get bigger. Oh no, I lost it. Oh, let me find it again. There. Boom. Believe it or not, trails are usually the fastest part of the show. So we will cover that here in just a minute. Yeah, I bet there's trails coming through. I want to check out Texas a bit. That's interesting. This part of the precipitation is going in the opposite direction. I don't see anything nefarious with any of these. Any of the stuff that I would normally say, uh-oh, watch out for tornadoes or crazy hail or excessive flooding. I'm not seeing any of that with these storms. None of that rippled radar or those crazy spiralized zip-zaps. Lots of trails coming in off the Pacific. We will switch satellites to see that a little bit better later. We have, yeah, lots of trails directly overhead in these areas. Interesting that this is where Nextrad is avoiding, right here. Lots and lots of trails here. It's interesting. It's like we have a lot of crazy high altitude clouds coming in here. Weird theory. What if they have trails that go up? Maybe they have some formulas where the trails don't drop down but they create some kind of cloud that actually raises up in altitude instead of dropping. I only say that because I've seen trails get left and then all of a sudden you see them shooting up in altitude, but that could just be that if we take off our tinfoil hat, we could say those are just contrails. It's indicative of, you know, the area must be high humidity and we got some high altitude clouds forming just after that. But, you know, if you put your tinfoil hat on, you could look at that and say, it looks like they're leaving some trails that as they're spreading out are creating cloud cover super high up in the atmosphere. I don't know how that would work, but it's just, you know, putting that out there. Maybe that's something that's happening. We do have a lot of trails mixed into all of this stuff. And that's that basic aftermath that we normally see. It looks like Canada's got trails still, but not a whole lot. I mean, yeah, you got them over here, but they're not those giant black things going across their entire country that we normally see. Certain. Trails mixed in over here. Yeah, over here too. You can see the lines mixed in. Trails all over here, going up here. This is right meow. Lots of them in New England. If any of you hear me right now, will you comment? Let me know that you actually watch this much of the show. I know some of you fast forward to your areas. And that's why I do it this way. Usually a fairly predictable way, so that you guys can zoom in on the areas you actually want to see and you don't have to watch the whole show. Trails, 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 trails. Heading over to Europe. Trails mixed in here. Come on, load. Trail, trail, trail. Trail. There's the monster on its way out. What is this? Oh, I see. It looks like that because it's overland. Trails over Brazil. See? I can tell from the aftermath of it. And then I look in, and lo and behold, the trails are there. Interesting. Doesn't seem like today. No, there's some today. Here. And I did see some over here too. All right, so Brazil's got some today. Wait, that wouldn't be one, right? I don't ever see them over here. Nah. No, I only ever see Brazil, Argentina, and Chile do it. This is not loading as fast as it normally does. Oh, it's because I'm doing it earlier in the day. I notice when I use the internet in the middle of the night, which I normally do my show in the middle of the night, things load a whole lot faster. Yeah, trails in Argentina. I don't see these every day, but this week I've seen them every day. Looks like I see remnants here. Let's see if we, yeah, okay, there's a trail there. See any other trails though? All right. All right, we are in the Southern Pacific. Really interesting to see the source of that ghostly cloud formation over here. Trails coming in off the coast. And plenty being left over here. And so many being left over Nevada and California. Ugh. Oregon, Idaho, Washington. Oh yes, in the famous Australia, where we have seen those storms. Okay, so I do see a trail there at that one point in time. That could have been a contrail. I don't know what came of that, or how that got there to begin with. What was that? That was weird, right? I don't often see anything that looks like that. Let's load more time to get more context. Let's do 40-minute. Let's do, for funsies, 10-minute intervals. Let's get as much information on that as I can. What? All right, that's the most information I can get of that situation. So it looked like some areas of moisture were coming through. You can start to see them appearing here. Kind of appears and then disappears. Interesting. Oh, uh-oh. Whenever I see trails going over India, not a good thing. Huh. It's not terribly excessive. I do also see them up here. Again, it's not terribly excessive. Do you see them over here? India doesn't normally get trails, and the last couple times I've seen them get excessive trails, they've had enormous floods that have caused them to release their dams into Pakistan, and I think it's a move. I need to still make my video on that. I think it's possibly weather wars. I'm not seeing a whole lot over here right now. We're going to definitely keep an eye on India, because if they're doing excessive trails tomorrow, I'm going to have to make another warning video for that. We got some trails up here, and a lot of trails over Kazakhstan and over in Russia. I'm not used to seeing so many trails over in central Russia. Mostly it's in the far western area. But Kazakhstan and Russia have trails. And our last stop, the easiest side of the world. Yeah, there's definitely trails in that. We covered that though. We were doing the ocean. Trails over here, going into Europe and a tiny bit into Africa, though I doubt that's where they were intended to go. Over here, over in Italy, and over this whole area here. Trails. All right, guys. Well, thank you for joining. It has been a pleasure. All right, have a good night. We'll see you tomorrow.